fáilte.tv.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between and all over the world, Céad, míle, fáilte. 100,000 welcomes to this, the Open Men's Masters Final, a rematch of the 2019 USA Masters Final, which was a nail-biter filled with top-quality plays. Two old rivals whose histories are intertwined in competition and writ large in the memories with their searing victories and punishing defeats. It promises to be a clash of epic proportions. I am Lorca Murray, and I am joined by the one, the only Gigi Morrison. Gigi, what are you looking out for in this epic encounter?
I'm looking out for some classic North American play. We have two USA teams facing up against each other. As you previously mentioned, Lorcan, they have played against each other before. Voltron being the 2019 Masters USAU finalists and winners against Boneyard. So Boneyard are wanting to come back into this game fighting. There will be hucks, there will be bids, there will be a huge contest. And I'm so excited for this match, Lorcan.
It promises to be a brilliant one. Both of these teams have had what may look at a first glance at their records relatively inconsequential run to this final, but both have said they had to step up big. They had to play really, really hard and give it everything they had, which reflects then in the victories and the leads they were able to build. What got these teams to this final, Gigi?
So both teams so far have had a 9-0 record. So completely undefeated, mad impressive. Boneyard, their closest games were against Johnny Encore in the semi-final with a 14-11 scoreline. And the next closest game was the quarterfinal against King Louis out of St. Louis, 15-8. And then the other teams that they had played against were not able to score anything higher than 6 points, whereas Voltron had much tighter games against them. Their quarterfinal against Still going to 15-11. Magic Toast from the UK in the pools, 15-10, and Status Quo in the pre-quarters, 15-9. So some tighter margins for Voltron, but this should be an exciting matchup between the two.
So it is all to play for and all to come here on the WFDF YouTube channel. And we are off, initially starting off in the hands of Matulka. Matulka looks for options, finds one in the form of Dieter. Dieter down the line, and Boneyard are just going to take their time working this one comfortably until they see the big shot. It's open, it's available, and it's a score. Kirk Gibson wasting absolutely no time launching that all the way down the field to Matt Smith. The two pickups making their presence known early on in this game.
That matchup is something that we will see so frequently in this game. Matt Smith has been one of the stats leaders for Boneyard so far before this game, having 18 total stats. That is 14 goals and 4 assists, now getting his 15th goal of the tournament. That is ridiculous. Matt Smith is a very seasoned player. He was also featured in the Sports Center top 10, playing for the Atlanta Hustle in the AUDL, a huge layout grab in the end zone. If you want to catch that, find that on YouTube. It is incredible.
So many quality players. And I want to just correct myself a little bit. It might be a bit unfair to describe the two of them as just pickups. They have joined them for this team, for this campaign. So two of the players who don't have their origins as deeply rooted in North Carolina, but certainly two players who have earned their place on this team, could earn their place on basically any Masters team in the world, really, with the quality that they have, and already showing it at the fore on the O-line for Boneyard. So Voltron, two-time reigning National American champs, going up against Boneyard, the two-time reigning World Masters champs. This is a real clash of the Titans. How will the Seattle O-line respond? Céad immediately sends it down. You can see the poach from Boneyard. It's still match defense, but they're trying to just get in the way of those lanes. Reading it well. It gets back into the middle, and waiting for it is Céad. So just a quick call downfield for a pick, and that one's going to go back.
Céad, one of the strongest handlers for this Voltron side, having previously played for Sockeye, winning multiple national champions, as well as Sockeye. He's also played for Revolver in 2015, winning the national championship for USAU.
These teams are dripping in gold. They've got the Midas clutch, and we will see how it plays out as this game goes on deeper.
As I was doing some of the research before this game, I was attempting to count the amount of medals that both of these sides have, but it was too many. I got bored and I ran out of time.
Understandable. You only have so many fingers and toes at your disposal, even with 2,700 people joining us here for this event. As this goes back to Castine. And they're just conferring over what the stall count's going to be coming in on. It's going to be a low one. So Castine immediately surveys. He's looking downfield, doesn't like it. Céad goes up the line, collects it. So he's on the edge of the sideline, edge of the end zone, searching poking, prodding, finding eventually Karlinski. Karlinski speeds it across. This is great swinging play to Sefton on the far sideline. Voltron switching widths with ease. Marquette can't get it back to Sefton. Best all counts getting high, and this is the Boneyard defense. They want to clamp down on those handlers. These players know each other so well. Their legacies of battling each other across the country and now across the world. Karlinski shoots to the end zone, and it looks comfortable in the end, but it was far from it. Castine getting the score. There's a foul that's going to go back. So that's Danny Karlinski. It's going to come back in on a stall 2. So a few calls early in this point, but you hope that smooths things out for later in the game as the teams get to know each other. Karlinski centers it back into the middle and waiting there for it. Marquette. And you can see the handlers moving, juking and jiving, but not a whole lot of cutting happening from downfield. And that one arced out and rescued by Castine. He's going to have to call an injury, putting life and limb on the line to save possession.
That looked painful, hitting the turf. This turf is not as soft as you'd like it, but Boneyard's defense is suffocating. Voltron are really struggling to generate any sort of free cuts. And this does play into the fact that whilst these two teams haven't played against each other a huge amount, as individual players, they know each other relatively well. They know what systems and structures and what types of cuts that they're wanting to generate. So strong credit to Boneyard for their defense so far in this game.
As we see Tim Gerhardt come on for that call. I believe Kurt Gibson also came on for Shane Sisko on the Boneyard side, matching that defense. Gets to swap one out as well. Marquette sends it back. Gerhardt gets his first touch on the disc, almost throws it behind the form of Harkness. He reaches backwards and grabs it right on the end zone line, looking for options. Sefton pops it in. There's the bobble, and it's caught. That's you got to catch your D's. Gibson comes on with the substitution, sweeps it up on the other side. Cretella back to Gibson. Gibson, one of probably the most famous throwers in all of Ultimate, and sends that one for a scoop on the ground. Berkowitz down the line one more time. Boneyard just grinding it. Pana looks for the reset, eventually able to get it to Berkowitz. Oh, he spreads it around again. And Boneyard moving really quick. This is a huge part of their offensive strategy. Herzog gets it back to Gibson. Gibson can't get the up the line. Goes with the stepping break backhand and receives it back almost as quickly. As you can see, Boneyard's offensive strategy, they want to move the disc quickly. They don't want to let Voltron get settled and start to clamp down, which they're so good at, and that is an early break. Lampron with the assist, shooting it to the end zone in the form of Josh Berkowitz.
And that was the exact type of American-style play that I was talking about at the start of this match. It's the quick give and go passes before the defender is even able to react to their mark receiving the disc. It's already out of the thrower's hands. Just super fast movement. We saw that in the front of the end zone, jinking and jiving from the handlers, and the quick dish into the front, right in the gut, giving Boneyard their first break of the game.
And there is a call for a timeout. So Voltron deciding to take a break after going 2 points down. Understandable. Things are going all right for Boneyard right now. Their offensive strategy is working. Their defensive strategy got them the turn. So we will be back to see how Voltron respond after this. Oh, probably won't bother going to the messages as the teams are already out there. Voltron certainly eager to get back out into it. This game is brought to you by WFDF. The World Flying Disc Federation is the international sports federation responsible for world governance of flying disc sports, including ultimate, beach ultimate, disc golf, freestyle, guts, and individual events. And if you just can't get enough of the ultimate, well, then we have some good news for you. You can please tune into the exclusive World Games coverage of the preliminary rounds of flying disc, as many in the world call ultimate, on July 12th. 13th and 14th from Birmingham, Alabama. The Olympic Channel Online is our exclusive distribution partner, and coverage will also be available on www.wfdf.sport. We will have an all-star team of commentators, just like here in Limerick, to bring you 12 preliminary round matches among the 8 national mixed teams. Tom Stiles, Raquel Toshanova, Liam Grant, Becky Thompson will be in Madrid, providing live commentary, while Evan Lepler, Megan Tormey, Daryl Stanley, and Charlie Eisenhood host pre-game, halftime, and post-game coverage. So one of our own going over there to help deliver the goods. We also had Liam Grant organizing this competition. It's great to see him stepping back into the booth. So you do not want to miss those World Games preliminary matchups. We are back here with the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships final, 2-0. Would you like to see Voltron do anything different, Gigi, coming out of that timeout?
Cleaning up their offense, I would say, is the first part, is the first step. And that doesn't take much adjustment. I think just keeping it simple, knowing their structures, making sure that they're conservative in terms of the options that they take. So still taking on some spice, definitely, as we see a little bit there of a collision. It's uncontested foul.
In the defense of Boneyard, in defense of Voltron's offense, Boneyard are just on every single shoulder, grinding, trying to force these errors, and it is a very difficult thing for Voltron to adapt to, as much experience as they have playing against this North Carolina outfit. It's Marquette. Marquette settles and gets it back into the middle of the pitch. Céad sends it all the way across, and that one is lifted off the turf somehow and shot immediately. They waste no time. Carnegie on the sideline. Voltron are having to work so hard. Garrett on a bit of an island. Plenty of space to throw the swing into, but you know Boneyard are going to be chasing that and trying to get on top of it all the time. Céad sends that down the line. A beautiful splintering flick. Marquette pops it back. Garrett. And Garrett, Céad in the middle of the pitch. And that's slightly better, starting to look a little cleaner. They're trying to clear that space directly in front of the throwers. They're relying a lot on Céad to just make these unbelievable breaks. They are very much handler-led, something that Boneyard identified coming into this game and something they're really trying to avoid Voltron capitalizing on. Because once again, it's Céad. Spins it around to Karlinski. Karlinski again looking for that inside break, and Boneyard do a good job shutting it off initially. Eventually they get it. Garrett back to Céad in the middle of the pitch. Céad, Garrett, and they're just handlers playing it, weaving the whole time. It's got to be an isolation set that they're running in front of the end zone, and it all goes a bit. Oh no, they kept possession just about. Incredible effort by Marquette. Marquette now looking really good dump defense. He's forced to spread it around to Karlinski. Karlinski in the middle of the pitch. And this is where fundamentals and execution come to the fore. You can see Céad, he gets the pop and he immediately throws it. No hesitation. So it is in the hands of Marquette. There's going to be a little bit of discussion.
That's the type of offense that's been so dangerous for other teams across the Masters division against Voltron. Again, as soon as you've got the disc in hands, it's already released, and trying to stop any sort of options coming off from there is so difficult.
As we see Marquette get it to get and back from him. And there's the big hammer over the top. It's not going to be easy to catch. There's going to be a bit of contention about whether or not he was on the line. Karlinski saw the space, tried to shoot it to Sefton. Oh, sorry, not Sefton. That is Jacob Speedle. But the discussion is, were his legs on the line when he caught it? I got to tell you, that's in. I think that's in, ladies and gentlemen.
The players are allowed to refer to both the sideline and the monitors that they have available to them, but it is up to them to be able to look at it. We are not allowed to actually try and direct them over and say, hey, that was in or out. So they have to make their own decisions ultimately.
We are the impartial watchers on the call. Although the call sometimes becomes a little bit sarcastic. As we've gathered something of a crowd.
You can see the cluster of players that have gathered in front of our monitor. We get another replay of that shot. This is the kind of spice that I wanted to see. Hammers over the top. And foot down, knee down. It is caught. That, to me, that looks inbounds, and it has been called a goal.
So something might be interesting. We did have a lot of people come and check the monitor. They resolved the call without referring to any of those people who are looking at the monitor. And I would have to say, what everyone feels is the fairest call is generally the right call. That's the nature and spirit of the game. You can't be right all the time. But in that instance, I would agree.
One thing I have seen from this tournament throughout, for the most part, this is some of the best spirit that I've seen at a world's level tournament. And that's not to say that there are a bunch of teams across the world that are poorly spirited, but obviously we have access to, we as commentators and as media, but you as well as the public, have access to everyone's spirit scores. We can see what was given to them and what they gave to other teams. You can see the comments that were left, which is fantastic in terms of clarity and communication. But across the board, I've never seen more scores above 10 than at this tournament, and that is incredible to see.
It goes to show you maybe some of these players cooling down in their older age, becoming more relaxed, more willing to talk it out. And they are just examples across the board. Both of these teams filled with coaches who have helped build up their communities. And both teams want to send a shout out to the wives, families, and dogs. I suppose all pets in general, who are back home, with whom this could not be done without. So Dave Snoke picks up the disc. He's going to walk to the front of the end zone. There's a split stack downfield by Boneyard, immediately going for the dump. And you'd think they were looking to set up that deep shot, but it's a nice bit of play by Voltron to shut that down with some help defense, as now Boneyard forced to go through the unders. Inselman pops it into the middle, and there's the quick pop, nicely setting up the form of Matulka. Matulka searching, struggling. That was great dump defense, and it results in the turn. Voltron wasting no time. They want to get it going. Looked like a potential shot to the end zone. They decide to turn it down. So Voltron, Foster dumps it back. It's now on the near sideline with Koss. Koss, who is so generously giving us some of his time to help talk to us about the team before the matchups, floats that one out into the waiting hands of Hagen. Hagen looks, and they're doing a great job of using the width, but they're not making a lot of distance downfield. As there comes the arcing flick, and it is snatched away effortlessly by Kirk Gibson. There's the floaty shot to him, looking for the bookends, and it goes over the top. There's going to be maybe a little bit of contact and discussion between Gibson and Rupp. You could probably hear the crowd getting involved. It is something of a natural coliseum here in the University of Limerick. The muddy, hilly banks rising up around us for 3/4 of the pitch, and then directly opposite us you can see the outstruck figure of the UL Arena, appropriately named as these gladiators continue to battle it out. I want to give a quick shout out to our game advisors as well. That is Dmitry Doroshenko, who's come on over there, affectionately known as Dimi by many of us, and Kate Isabotas, who is on the camera side, so you may not see her so much.
It's nice to see that that call has been resolved pretty swiftly. They're allowed to get the opinion of the game advisors, as you mentioned, but Boneyard's defense is slowing Voltron down already.
As we see the swing around, and there was plenty of players that could have gone to, but in the end it winds up with Foster. Foster pops it back in, waiting for it. Hagen down the line. This is Voltron just taking their time. Laws back to Hagen. Hagen doesn't want to take the dump shot, does want to throw his mark to the ground with a fake, and comfortably into the hands of Mario O'Brien, but this defense is trying to clamp as we see Hagen once more. He has O'Brien, hits O'Brien. O'Brien back to Hagen. They're happy to just swing it around, but Boneyard seem happy to let them. So it'll be interesting to see once they start going for these bigger, deeper shots. Foster on the far sideline, catches it, didn't need to do that ground check, pops it back into Rupp. And that's going to go all the way back to Patrick Bayless.
There's some discussion from the players. You always love seeing them reenacting everything. Believe that that was probably some sort of travel call, but obviously as there had been a couple of passes, eventually that led to them having to bring it to a stoppage. Travel is not usually a stoppage, but in this case it has affected play.
So Hagen gets it quickly back to Bayless. Bayless searching. Hagen goes down the line for him, and they are just so handler-led, which is exactly what Matt Thomas let us know before the game, the Boneyard team manager. So Boneyard are aware of this. They're trying to limit it. They're trying to shut it down. They're doing an effective job by all accounts, really, as O'Brien gets that back to Hagen. Hagen has been so focal to everything they've done so far in this matchup, and they're relying on O'Brien to get those breaks. These long Boneyard outstretched appendages are making it very difficult to switch the width of this pitch as easily as they did earlier. Laws sends it back to Hagen. Hagen is on the open side. He has a shot to the corner, but there is a call. Foster collects. Is going to go back, though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that we're seeing a strong connection between O'Brien and Hagen. O'Brien and Hagen being two of 4 players, including Koss and Yoon, who are now part of BFG. So they're a mixed team based out of Seattle. They were the 2021 USAU champions, and they are all playing together again this year in 2022 in USAU Nationals.
There are team connections all across these squads. It runs deep. North Carolina, arguably the powerhouse of Ultimate in the world right now, reigning nationals, reigning AUDL, reigning college men's and women's champions. Shout out to the UNC sides as well as the Raleigh Flyers. And of course, Ring of Fire as Hagen, front corner, looking to get it back to O'Brien. That's the BFG connection. If you're a fan of Roald Dahl or Doom, those mean two very different things. But either way, it's entertaining as that shot goes over the top. And I think Koss is going to just say, yep, totally intentional, absolutely worked. Alex Laws gets the score. That's a break.
Yeah, completely not the intended receiver, but the strong connections that they have as a team, Voltron being so well established, the chemistry is strong amongst them, and they did eventually grind in that points. The Boneyard defense doing such a good job at stifling them. We saw 2-3 turnovers in that points. We see that catch on the knees. That was Laws who got the score eventually for Voltron. Boneyard really making it difficult for them.
And this just speaks to exactly what Matt Thomas was saying. They know they're handler-led. That's where their focus is going to be defensively. They're going to try and clamp it down. And then on the opposite side, as we've seen offensively, they want to move the disc quickly. Two things that they have been able to complete so far to some effect, but Voltron showing they're not just going to lay down and let Boneyard take another world's title. They want to add it to their collection, to their national title, and as we mentioned at the start, there's a lot of gold hanging around these people's necks and their trophy cabinets.
Please do let us know if you are watching at home on the WFDF stream. Shoot us a comment. We are keeping an eye on them. Ask us some questions or let us know some fun facts that you might know about the individual players.
As we see that one going to Casey. Casey launches a huge shot to Madzuka all the way downfield. It's floating, it's a hanging, it's a battle. And everybody misses it on the first time. There's going to be perhaps a call on the second time. I've spoken about this earlier on the stream. I'd love your opinion, Gigi. There is a law of diminishing returns. The more people under a disc, the less right you have to call a foul. Have another look. Tell me what you think.
Okay, so disc has gone up. It floats, understandably. It's been a very windy week here in Limerick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bodies going up. That is anybody's disc at that point.
And when they all miss it the first time, I think, like, you got one clean look. You can't expect a second.
The only claim that I think Madzuka can make is that he did not have the opportunity to move upwards as a result of a player moving back into his shoulder. That is possibly an argument that Brett Madzuka is going to be making in this contest here, but with the pack of players that you have there, I'd imagine that it's going to be contested and sent back to the thrower.
That's a very legitimate point. That seems to be an uncontested foul, in fact, as you probably hit the nail on the head there, Gigi. As Madzuka gets it, pops it back, and Boneyard right on the end zone line now. Berkowitz sends it back to Madzuka. Oh, Madzuka wanted him one more time, but really good defensive pressure by Voltron to shut down that option. I think that was Schneider who was making himself a nuisance.
Yeah, the two handler dumps having a little bit of a collision with each other. Understandably, that is a pick.
Madzuka goes for the immediate flick. Comfortably taken in by Joey Cretella.
You mentioned earlier on how Kurt Gibson is one of the best throwers that you can see on these fields. But Brett Madzuka is honestly one of my favorite personal throwers. He's, again, one of the stats leaders. I mean, the stats are pretty evenly spread throughout both of these teams, but he has 4 goals and 11 assists, now 12 assists on his name. He has also coached in Ukraine, so he's done a lot of clinics for people. He's very, very deeply involved in the Ultimate community. And I don't know if you managed to watch in 2017 Beach Worlds on the stream in Royan. There was a point where Madzuka threw the pull, sprinted down, and caught the Callahan off the first pass on his own pull. I remember watching that. It was incredible.
Royan was an amazing time. Another big WFDF event with the beach representation here as well. WFDF is an international federation recognized by the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, and by the International Paralympic Committee, the IPC, and the International University Sports Federation, a member of the Global Association of International Sports Federations, Association of the IOC, recognized international sports federations, the International World Games Association, the International Masters Games Association, and the Association for the International Sport for All. And that is what this sport is, for all, as we see Voltron trying to get back into this matchup with an offensive hold. 3-2 down. There's been 2 breaks apiece to put Boneyard back on serve. There's the big arcing shot all the way down there. They got Carnegie underneath it, and that's a bit of a collision. Carnegie and Monaghan reaching for the sky and finding nothing but damage.
Yeah, another discussion as to whether that was a foul or not. It looks to be uncontested. A lot of contact on that disc. It did mean that Carnegie was having an extremely difficult time to reel that one.
I think that one is an understandable, uncontested foul. Carnegie's going to get the disc on the front of the end zone. He is looking behind him because he is the deepest man right now. The options filter through. Can't get it to Sefton. He's going to have to look again. That stall count's getting higher every single second, but it doesn't matter to Voltron. They're just going to take their time. Getting it first to Karlinski. And then he pops in the score. Really nice stuff by Voltron and Tim Garrett.
A good team backup and movement. The high stall count backhand, eventually finding a dump. Again, Boneyard's defense has just been stifling Voltron so far. And something, again, I'm probably going to be mentioning this quite a lot because I am always impressed by it. But as soon as that dump is caught in his hands, instant release into the end zone for somebody with a continuation cut, as we just get another look at that bump on the mark. This is what I mean. Instantly caught, instantly released on the break side. And that's the danger of the quick releases. This is why you should be training these kinds of throws, is that the force is already behind you. They're not set up. So that break side is pretty much a wide open option, more open than the open side, in fact. So why not use that? It's wide available.
If you're putting all that work into running and getting that free on the break side, you've got to take advantage of it. We've seen an awful lot of other teams, though, go for the missed catch because they were thinking about getting that quick throwaway. It shows the experience, the talent, and the technical skills of these two outfits. They're able to keep it going so well. And look at that for a pull. Locking them in the back of the end zone as the Voltron defense swarms up to take advantage. Now, we know Boneyard don't mind putting it, but that one might be too far. A touch too much as it falls in front of David Snoke. So here come Voltron. They're looking to fight back. They want another break. Mario O'Brien spreads the disc, finds it on the opposite sideline. That's Bayless. Bayless pops it in for the quick and delicious score to Chris Rupp. It's just back and forth, Gigi.
This is ridiculous. That pull is exactly what caused that defense. And it's more of a mental battle at that point when you're stuck at the back end zone line. Even though you can try and visualize and think, okay, I'm just at a different part of the pitch. Just imagine I'm still in the central zone, but you are in Callahan country. It's so dangerous. And the mental aspect of it, that backhand just slipping a little too low, completely out of the reach of the receiver. And there's such a short field for Voltron to get that break.
It's like that old saying where they say it's the same walking a tightrope 5 feet off the ground as it is walking a tightrope 50 feet off the ground. To which I respond, try it, okay? No, it isn't. So, a nice break for Voltron, 4-3. This game has swung back and forth. We have seen 2 breaks for Voltron. And of course, let's not forget, Boneyard opened this game up with an offensive hold in which they didn't turn it over, and then a break, the first opportunity they got. So, 4-3, it currently stands. The Seattle side in the good, and looking to exert a bit more pressure, a bit more power, bringing that West Coast attitude.
They're definitely wanting to make Boneyard sweat, maybe looking at their previous results and thinking, you've had a bit too easy of a ride here. I'm not going to make this comfortable for you at all.
Well, we'll see how Boneyard can handle the pressure. They get it down the line, and this is nice, but Matsuka, he's underneath. He takes it down despite the incoming power of Patrick Bayless. Now Matsuka looks, and Gigi, he's such a good thrower. Gibson, that's quite the partnership in the backfield, and so many athletes to send it to. Cretella, he already has a goal, and they're moving it quickly down the pitch, as they like to do. Dieter with the disc. It's going to be stopped on a call. So it's Dieter with the disc, middle of the pitch. Just outside of the end zone, looking to tie this matchup up. You can see the quick communication. I don't know how other people feel about it, but yeah, if there's going to be a stoppage, exchange some tactics. Dieter has Gibson just about. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. This is some fantastic defense by Sefton. Eventually he gets it to him.
There's some contact and interception between the players, but I believe that they will be justifying that Gibson was not affected in terms of receiving that afterwards.
Just Sefton maybe getting a chance to stand up and catch up to him, as he was ever so slightly tippled to the ground. Gibson with a quick pop, looking to run immediately. He's working with Cretella. He gets it back from him. Now he spreads it across. That's Wooten. Wooten getting his first touch on the disc at this point, and it's all he needs to get involved in the stats. Cretella gets the score, and it's so close quarters cutting by Boneyard.
Yeah, it's almost too close, uncomfortably close. I'm not liking it, and I'm a good 50 meters away from them.
It's the intensity. It shows you that they know how to operate in the small spaces. They know how to maximize their potential, even in this suffocating defense. So that was just Sefton after getting a little bit of a tip. I think wearing an Isno hat, which is a nice thing to be referencing the team that they played in their semi-final. They beat them.
Isno Good being the only European team within the men's division to play in the semi-finals, so facing up against 3 American teams.
And I think they beat 2 American teams to get there. They certainly had a phenomenal game against Royal Stag in the quarterfinal, which was a joy to cast. And as well, any Isno fans, please bear in mind we are also running this stream in French on an alternate one with Etienne Fournier. Theo and Nicolas are also joining him on the call. So if French is the language in which you are more comfortably acquainted, please do hop over to that stream. It's all brought to you by WFDF, working with Ulti TV here on Europe's premier sporting campus, University of Limerick. It's coming down slowly and coming down quickly after it is the Boneyard defense, and they're looking again for a bit of a poachy man, waiting for the handlers to get engaged and then clamping in on them. So this is a chance to limit Voltron's ability to move quickly and try and put them under some pressure, maybe pen them in a little bit. Garrett working with Céad and Garrett just in the backfield, not getting a whole lot of stuff downfield. There it goes over the top of Blade, nicely into the middle. Really well shut off by Matsuka, so they couldn't get it rolling. A lot of the times you see people get through the opening jaws of that zone and just go straight downfield. Great way to call it down, and here comes the switch to match defense. And Céad somehow grabs that one, splaying himself. Back to Garrett. Garrett gets it across, and that's Marquette. Marquette waits for his man to come down to him. Marquette back into the middle. That's Garrett. Garrett. And they are really sharing the disc in the handler space, as Boneyard knew they would. Harkness. Marquette junking and jiving. And there's a huge bid! Steaming in. A massive flying form of Josh Hartzog. And there's a nice inside backhand. This is good work. They're looking to get a break back here, Boneyard. Can they do it? Searching. It's Cretella on the far side. Has Insman, doesn't see him, goes down the line instead to Mullen. Mullen has Matsuka behind him, hits him. Matsuka surveys, takes stock, goes with the quick around break to Inselman. A little bit of contact downfield. They're just going to call a quick foul on that. Understood. Stand up.
That was a no pivot backhand from Matsuka. Quick flick on the open side, and without even having to really shift his hips very much, quickly moving to the backhand on the break.
That is an ambitious leading pass, and that's going to be a foul called on that. Talk about trusting your receiver. Inselman saw the streaking form of Mullen. Streaking's probably an exaggeration. The casually strolling form of Mullen on the opposite side, and he puts up this width-busting leading pass. Mullen gets up there, gets the collection. Yeah, and I think because of the contact, you're allowed to say the contact really did cause that drop.
And it looks like they are in agreement with that as well. It's going to be brought in on the sideline closest to us.
So Mullen knocking on the door. Will Voltron let him in? Really good work back into the middle. Cisco gets low and picks it up. Matsuka searching. Instead, he just takes the easier pass back and the waiting open arms of Inselman. Inselman back to Matsuka. Matsuka just throws and he goes. And he throws and he goes again. Inselman looking to work. And that was a high stall count that time. Really impressive defense against this ever-moving handler set.
Yeah,
Inselman again.
Yeah, Voltron are trying to go in with a clever buzz switches, so whenever they see a handler, not a hammer, but that is a hammer. Fantastic gameplay. But the Voltron defense was just buzzing and switching between the handler marks, trying to slow down any sort of up-the-line movements, which has led to Boneyard having to resort to the overhead shots into the end zone, and it is successful.
You can't stop everything in Ultimate. You just have to stop the first threat. As we have another look at that cassette in our grab, it was something special. And here comes the pain in the screaming form of Herzog. Knocking it away, full extension. Somebody called Superman. There's a nice little save of possession as well. We're going to have a look at the hammer. You can understand the space and the separation as Karlinski was trying to protect the open side, but with throwers of such quality all across. And we're talking about the quality of the throwers, like the more established ones. But then you look at people like Taylor Pope, who isn't exactly a slouch, 42 years of age, based out of Raleigh. He's played with Ring of Fire for 12 years, played with Boneyard since 2017. His ultimate hero is Tim Brooks, a role model for him as an ultimate player. And as I'm sure a lot of people in North Carolina can agree, Taylor Pope, a role model himself. As the two teams have called a timeout.
Yes,
So we're going to go for a quick message. We'll be back in a few. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, to this titanic clash of two established powers in the autumn of their careers. But it is a bright, sunny summer right now in Limerick, and a colossal block by Boneyard coming straight out the other side. Ken Porter putting that one away. Boneyard got defensive depth all over the pitch. Mullen, so follow up that fantastic break with a different D-line. Well, with a couple of personnel, Matsuka is going to be pretty much a permanent presence. It seems those throwing capabilities so crucial to what they're trying to do. Gets it back in the middle to Mullen. Mullen searching. He has Matsuka with the quick hop and step, but in the end, he is forced to go over the top to Monaghan. Monaghan back to Matsuka. Matsuka gets the quick pop in for the score. Nicely done, making it look simple. And that's 2 breaks in a row. 3 points in a row for Boneyard. I think that was Mullen who got the score. Can't quite make it out from here. There are crowds everywhere and people celebrating. Phenomenal stuff.
That poach block from Porter was so perfectly read. He anticipated the play, knew exactly what Voltron wanted, and just as his match was moving all the way up through this cut, you could see that Porter was like, you know what, that is mine. I'm gonna have that. And again, Porter not making any forms of contact, at least not that we could see, through the shoulder. Incredible body awareness. And then the score in for Boneyard, giving them their 2nd break in a row. This is a game of trading breaks.
Showing the back and forth and the power of momentum, which I absolutely believe is a real thing. And it's got to be terrifying. I suppose Voltron are much more hardened than I would be in experience. But if you've got, on one line you see Herzog and his huge body laying out, and then you've got, on the next point you see Ken Porter doing the exact same thing. And it's not just incredibly physical plays, like you were saying, Gigi. These are intelligent defensive plays that they're making. They are reading what Voltron are trying to do. The 20 plus years some of these players have been battling each other at the elite stage, really showing in this game.
Yeah, that is absolute credit to the long list of teams of clubs that we have listed here. We have Rally Flyers, Condors, Ring of Fire, Chain Lightning, Sockeye, Truck Stop, Revolver. That, like, national teams, including WUGC, WUCC. It's incredible.
It's a litany of legends. As now we see another big, huge shot underneath it. That looks initially misread by Boneyard, but not by Jacob Speedle. And he gets the quick pop in for the score. Nicely followed up by Sefton.
The Speidel with the incredible read on that disc. That was, oh, picture perfect. I'm running out of words to describe things just because I'm awestruck in being able to commentate this game. And the way that that disc sat, it had to be laser pinpoint perfect. And Speidel with the grab, that was so good.
That was a ridiculous grab by Speidel. I mean, Mike Pananone is no slouch and was pretty close to the defense there, but at a certain point you just got to go, yeah, okay, that was yours. Destiny decided. And can you fight Destiny? We will find out as she reveals her plans for these two teams. Voltron get the quick score, and they kind of needed that, Gigi.
Yeah, they definitely did need that. Making sure that Boneyard don't widen the margin further than they already have, but that should help keep the momentum going, make sure that Voltron are still firing through this game.
So like you were saying, it's been a game of breaks. Wouldn't be surprised to see Voltron come out here and try and get a break again for themselves. Their defense primarily through match, but the wind starting to blow a little bit more ferociously, reminding us that it is still one of the deciding elements in this arena.
Yeah, Voltron's semi-final against Is No Good. They did start to put a cup zone against them, so I wouldn't be too surprised if they did the same here against Boneyard.
So Rifkin's able to recover from that initial stumble, and he just winds one up and oh, sorry. That was Machuca, as there is the turnover. Voltron looking for a break now, and they're going to go in the opposite direction. Rupp just about gets that break off, and that's a timeout taken. Let's just say it's been taken by Adam Simon. So we are going to take a quick break ourselves. We will be back after these messages. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You can see our stands are full and our sun is shining here on this epic encounter. Voltron looking to tie things up and respond with a break after suffering 3 consecutive scores by Boneyard in a row. They got the hold with a quick deep shot to the end zone, and now they are working hard. Hagen with the disc, middle of the pitch. I mean, working hard probably seems like an asinine thing to say given how everybody out there is putting it all on the line. These are the World Championship finals, and you can see it in every breath they take, every step they make. They are grinding, they are fighting. Hagen so crucial, and Voltron still working it through the handlers as they are prone to do. It's O'Brien working with Hagen. There's a pop, really well taken and towed in athletically as you like. Bayless gets it back to Hagen. Hagen looks to spread it around to O'Brien. O'Brien front of the end zone. Woo! And he goes for the break, arcing and collected comfortably in the end by Christian Foster.
What was that toe in from Bayless? Fantastic awareness to not only do a full body extension layout, but to then think out the sidelines there, touch your toe back behind you, giving Voltron the well-needed break, giving them they're now level at 6-6. We just get another look at that shot. Full extension, toe down.
So necessary as well. Sometimes you see people going for gratuitous toe-ins. That was his one chance. Bayless, give me some more of that. And then O'Brien with a nice break for the easy finish. It was an exhilarating, intense matchup. But Voltron, seemingly they just want to work it through their handlers, take their time, not force too much.
Yeah, that is exactly how they trust their systems. They know what they're doing. This team has existed for quite a while now, but they were initially set up as a fun tournament team. One of their mantras, so to speak, is joy to your life. So they do try to see the fun side of things.
In honor of Fig Jam, who also translated their normal mantra, there is no strength without unity, into Irish, ahas id a hail, which is joy to your life in Irish, and they are certainly bringing joy to our lives here on these pitches. And that's kind of something juxtaposed to the Boneyard mentality. We will resume that point. Oh no, that one's going to hang for a while. Maybe we do have time to talk. And it drops right down from Atsuga. That was an incredible pull, as Boneyard looking to get back at it. 6-6. They're still on serve though, which is the crucial element. Started with the disc. They've got to make sure they finish the half with a score and not a concession. Gibson still getting higher all the time. They are working hard down in that end zone. And that's a nice leading pass. Gibson winds up and fakes out an entire arena of people directing traffic. He's pointing to somebody. Go deep, somewhere, please, for the love of God. Pana, down the line, taken in by Helton. Helton, back to Pana. Pana, he thinks about it, he launches it. Gibson, nobody went deep for him, so he just decided to take it on himself.
Oh my goodness. Boneyard were stuck on the back line of their end zone. They had 0 cuts coming. They had so much space, but were not generating anything except for dishing and dancing up the line, and then eventually finding some space, the magical point in the pitch, and then we see that beautiful flick hook down the field. I thought that that was going to die, but wow.
It was so pitch perfect, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was manicured. And what I love about that is Gibson had the disc in basically his own end zone and was pointing. It was like, go deep, somebody go, fine. Puts it with, takes off himself, gets the reception. And that's just the depth of skill and ability throughout the Boneyard side.
What's the saying? If you want to get it done properly, just do it yourself. I think Gibson took that personally.
He is embodying it right now, and such a huge contribution to this side. Himself and Matt Smith joining the North Carolina faithful. And Boneyard.
Gibson now with, I believe that's now 5 goals to his name, previously having 4 and 17 assists. The stats leader for Boneyard so far.
Well, he's got a goal, an assist, and 2 blocks in this game so far. He's filling up that stat sheet as Voltron. 7-6 down, but they've proven they can get breaks. First, they'll need to get a hold, as that's in the hands of Gerhard. Just a bit of discussion. I think Garrett is probably going to get to keep the disc. Talking it out with Karlinski. So Karlinski, big handler for this team. He has 2 assists so far in this game, 37 years old. He actually started playing because his brother started playing. And one of his sporting heroes is Dirk Nowitzki, selfless, hardworking, initially an outcast who became a star. And how many Ultimate Frisbee people can relate with that experience? Maybe not the star, but the rest of it. Replace star with among friends regularly.
Or outcast and became distinctly average.
Now that feels a lot more familiar. So it's gonna go back to Karlinski. And he centers it across. Kasedner back to Karlinski. Karlinski thinks about the big flick. You see the way Boneyard, they're basically going straight up on the mark, and they're throwing deep shots anyway. Kasedner launches it down. He's got big men underneath it, and eventually running through and getting it is Harkness. Harkness now. That's why you got to chase these plays. The disc might hang. You never know. You got to keep running. And if they can do it in the Masters division, surely all of the young fans watching at home being inspired by this can replicate it themselves. Chase every play. Garrett. Gets back to Céad. Céad spreads the field across. It's Kalinski. Kalinski says no to the initial cut down the sideline. Big defensive pressure. Boneyard just switch matchups so quickly, so effortlessly. And there's the pop over the top. Bobbled, dropped. And always going to be a difficult one to bring in.
Yeah, few too many things to have to concentrate on. You're having to catch that disc, it already being quite a difficult read, and then the sideline is creeping ever closer.
So they're going to have another look at this and a chance to take half with a break by Boneyard. They want to stamp some authority on this game. They feel that gold wrapped around their necks. They want to feel it again. They're working quickly between each other. That pop just down the line, waiting for Berkowitz. Berkowitz, he's surveying, and the quick, easy dump to Cretella. Cretella with 2 goals so far in this final matchup. Handling the disc, he's just as comfortable, although there's few people in the world as comfortable with the disc as Matsuka. Matsuka has some cuts coming. Nothing too much, though. Eventually gets back to Cretella. Cretella launches to the end zone! And that was a big-time bid.
That would have been huge if he was able to get that. I would have been jumping. I was going to say I was jumping out my seat, but I'm already standing. I would have been jumping in the commentary booth.
Jumping out of your shoes. And that's kind of what we've come to expect from these teams. That's the distance between them. It's going to take a couple of spectacular highlight plays. So Voltron getting away with one to an extent. Kalinski. Garrett has options. Again, they just focus so much on the handlers and then these undercuts. Oh, and there goes up another big shot, but it's dropping all the time! I was so ready to lose my mind for Josh Marquette. I thought he had that one. I think he did too, as Cisco has the disc on the sideline. Options in the middle. One of them's unmarked, and Sefton was momentarily marking 2 men and actually pulling it off, which was quite impressive as he waited for his help to arrive. Cretella spreads that across to Hartzog. Hartzog got that enormous layout D earlier in the game. He gets it back, and then he puts it again and runs, takes off. He's shooting down the line, trying to clear out. Hartzog's just decided to take this point over himself. There's the quick pops and the score in to take half. Josh Berkowitz finishes it off, 8-6 Boneyard.
The amount of seconds that disc was held in any one player's hands must be an average of half a second. I could not count. That was incredible movement from Boneyard. They have certainly deserved to take the first half.
As we're going to have another look at this shot. Huge bid on the other end. Sorry, I'm getting my deep shots mixed up. That was the one that was chased down and very well taken in by Sam Harkness. And then that's a tough one to corral. I mean, it's such a small space, so little time to react. This was almost magnificent. But again, you can see the defense forces you into these tight windows, these tough situations, and instead, that's probably why both teams are just, let's just go short ball, let's just go as quick as we can. We trust each other, we know each other, and we trust you to join us again after halftime in this broadcast brought to you by WFDF, as well as Discraft, for the best discs you can get, and VC Sports Apparel, providing the top quality athletes with top quality clothing since 1998. We will be back after these short messages. Terrible crap. Hello, everybody. I'm Lord Murray, and I'm joined by the wonderful Taylor Pope here at halftime. You're 8-6 up, Taylor. And how does it feel to be in that ring team right now? Is the confidence high?
Yeah, I think our confidence is high. We had a defensive strategy coming into the game, and right now we're deploying it. I think offensively we would like to play a little bit more small ball, but we're going to make some adjustments in the second half.
Is there any chance you'd be willing to share those adjustments with the fine folk at home? I'm sure there's no one from Seattle who will then message the people you're playing.
Yeah, I think we see that they're doing a lot of poaching underneath, which is causing us to try to stretch the field. I think we're going to probably employ some double cuts and try to bring the poach through and then cut in behind them in the open space.
Very nice. And on the defensive end, you kind of stick with the front up and back your defenders?
Yeah, we know their style. We played against these guys for a long time. And we know that they like the small ball, and we are trying to decouple them away from the disc and get their handlers downfield. So far, we've been able to do that and make them throw a lot of passes. We feel that if we can make them throw 20, 30 passes a point, then the cumulative pressure by the end of the game should catch up to them.
All right, well, it all remains to be seen if you are prescient or if Voltron can come back. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thanks.
Coming into this one, 8-6 down, but you've shown you can break them. Is there anything you're discussing right now to change things up on the offensive end and respond to the pressure they're putting on you?
Not really. I think we came in with a strategy of running our O, and I think on D we're trying to mix it up. They run it through several guys primarily and trying to shut that down, but they're looking sharp, and we came to play a great game here, and it's a great game. Both teams have broken. They're up one break, and our ethos is really looking to each other to lift each other up and bring joy to this game that we all love. So nothing's changing given the circumstance. We love being here. We're happy to be here.
We are delighted to have you. Thank you so much for joining us here for the interview. So, overall, Voltron, confident you're going to come back into this one?
Yeah, we always play with confidence, of course. Yeah, we're one break down. Let's go. We're ready to go. Our team's in a huddle over here, psyching each other up. And it's been a weird tournament, a long week. COVID affecting all the teams here, so it's just a weird week. So we're just trying to really be in the moment and rise to the occasion. And yeah, we're confident. We got a lot of studs on our team too, so they're going to have to hang with us.
We love to hear it like that. And of course, a big shout out to everybody in the dorms who's joining us on the live stream. Nothing but love from us here. Thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Best luck in the second half.
Thank you.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were able to talk with Dave Beestock as well as Taylor Pope there at halftime, get a little bit of insight to these two teams and how hungry and how positive they are. The joy from Voltron, from Seattle, that West Coast attitude coming up against the hard grit and grind of North Carolina's Boneyard. Gigi, is it too unfair for me to ask you who you think's going to take this one?
I actually have no idea. This has been a game of trading breaks. So we've seen in some other games on other pitches where the conditions have led to trades in terms of holds, but in this circumstance, both teams are so fired up that they're able to generate breaks, I wouldn't say comfortably, but without too much difficulty, and it has led to a super exciting game so far, so please do stay tuned, everyone.
As Kalinski has the disc on the sideline, almost sets up the deep shot, instead spreads it wide and out to, oh, and there's the turn. Once again, that pressure from Ken Porter. Matsuka looking, opening up the second half of the break would be ideal for Boneyard. They want to extend that lead. They want to take control of this matchup. Matsuka sits that one out. It's a beautiful break all the way across. Cantone gets it back to Matsuka quickly, understandably, as he goes with the effortless backhand break under and taken by Pope. Pope, of course, the star who joined us on camera. And he gets it back to Matsuka. Matsuka still searching, so lethal as well, as there he goes for the no-look scooper over the top. How did that come off? That shouldn't have worked at all, but I guess when you're Matsuka, you can just put up prayers and they get answered. Chuck Cantone with the collection.
Matsuka owes Cantone a beer for that one. Even though that was still a beautiful, bit too spicy shot, it was a little bit wobbly. Possibly the higher stall count increasing the amount of pressure, but what else can you expect from Matsuka other than spicy shots? We get to see the turnover there, giving Boneyard the opportunity.
And they cashed it in. Slightly unorthodox approach, but as we see the no-look scoober in a world final, bit of desperation. And we've spoken before, you've got to play flutter guts. You got to get used to catching these fluttery discs. One hand behind him, Cantone pulling that one down. That's how they drilled it back in North Carolina. Shout out to our statsman and co-commentator, Benji Rees.
Nice little tip of the hat there from Benji.
I think everybody back home's got to just tip their hats to Cantone. It was a daring throw, a desperate throw that was rescued. Absolutely rescued. So a lot of the credit for that has to go to Chuck Cantone.
Yeah, usually if I'm at a high stall count, my first option and thought is not, you know what, I'm going to take a no-look scuba.
I guess that's the difference between Matsuka and us. It's just something that happens once you reach that elite level and stay there for nearly 2 decades, as that pass is a beautiful break, low but floaty to Bayless. Bayless, and they're sending these ones down. Hagen searching. Has options behind him. It's a form of Rupp. Rupp goes back to Hagen, and Hagen has been big for Voltron so far. Just that give-go play as he continues to work with Rupp. Rupp across to O'Brien. O'Brien calling people back. Somebody cut somewhere. He gets it in the form of Simon. Simon goes with a big arcing shot. It's all the way down there. Caught in the wind, misread by the defense and collected by Patrick Bayless.
Bayless again with a rescue for Voltron. But I have to say, I have to point out, the smart play that Bayless made there, it might have not been deliberate. Started to initially be a little bit of a misread, but he shepherded his player away from where the disc was actually moving, which meant that he had the better positioning on the reception, completely baiting the defender out of the way. That was so good.
Really nice shot by Adam Simon. Probably started blading more than he anticipated it too, but in the end, like you say, thanks to the incredibly crafty cutting of Patrick Bayless, it worked out much better for them. So I think if that had had float on it, it would have been quite the battle between Joey Cretella, a man who already has a block to his name in this game. So we're not exactly looking to take that guy on in the end zone for a jump ball if I'm Voltron. So they get the score, they stop the bleeding, 9-7. Can they inflict some wounds of their own on this Boneyard offense? You can probably hear that call coming through from the pitch. J-O-Y, joy in everything they do and everything they aim to achieve. And That's a nice pull, just stopping there before going out of bounds. So Snoke picks it up and pops it into the middle in the waiting arms of Gibson. Gibson gets it back to Snoke. Snoke down the line, taken in, and that's Smith. Smith is just going to come back a little bit for a second, but barely any delay of play at all. Smith back into the waiting arms of Snoke, and Snoke to Gibson. So Gibson, Smith, and Snoke look to be the handlers who will be weaving for now. Nope. Gibson just winds up, uncorks one, launches it, taken in, let's say comfortably, by Dieter, and Dieter pops it in for the score into the waiting hands of Berkowitz. That's his third goal of the game.
It looked like Dieter was going to start planting and coming under again, but Gibson, seeing the late deep there, uncorking a huge backhand, and Dieter reading it perfectly. We just get another look at that one. Stepping out really wide. This wind not being a problem at all. Bidding defender getting inches away. That was Schneider.
Great follow-up cut as well from Josh Berkowitz to finish that one off. And Gibson is like a coiled spring made of snakes. He's just ready to pounce at any moment, launching that one deep. So Boneyard respond quickly and efficiently. 10-7.
I would love to see how Voltron are going to respond to this momentum that Boneyard have gotten. Are they going to switch up any sort of defensive pressure if they were to be turned over? I can't imagine that they would be turned over very easily. Voltron doing so well so far, moving the disc. Just a few connections that have been maybe a little misread or miscommunicated.
Well, they seem to be going with a split stack variation as we see all the cutters come down towards us, and Carnegie makes that initial cut into acres of space, gets the disc, and the deep shot is on to Garrett. He doesn't waste any time putting it up there. Putting it up there is exactly what he's done. It's floating, it's hanging, and the defense able to run out of bounds and knock it down. That's Zumbrum with the block.
The Carnegie was wide open for that initial cut. Just a shame the power position was on as well, just the disc soaring in the wind for an extra few seconds longer than he had intended.
Taylor Pope pops it back into the middle to Luperfido. Luperfido gets to Matsuka. That is a nice dish, and that looks like they're just messing with Sefton at that point, throwing it back and forth between each other. Mullen gets it back across Lupo, gets it down to Matsuka. Matsuka close to the end zone, holding the disc aloft, trying to bait any kind of movement as he waits for the cuts. Mullen gets it on the dump backwards. And Mullen just with the quick eye look, but really well shut down. Fantastic effort by Josh Marquette. Keeping Matsuka locked up for 10 seconds as hard as he goes to the scuba over the top. That one came out a lot smoother than the last one. Zumbrum looking for the double happiness perhaps. Leading past to Matsuka. Gets it across, but no cut to the open side comes. A little surprising. Matsuka instead goes for the around break back, and Mullen just gets it and gives it as a pick downfield. I think that's between Sefton and Cretella. And like you were talking about earlier, Gigi, the way they just catch and throw immediately. Mullen didn't even think about looking downfield. He just got it and put it. As the stall count continues to climb, Mullen leads that pass out, but is taken in by Cretella. He gets it around Zumbrum, far sideline. Has Mullen directly behind, and they've gone all the way back to halfway. They have that much faith in each other. They're not trying to force anything. Matsuka waiting patiently, trusting his teammates. They're going to get free. The options will come as he goes with the searing, arcing pass to the end zone, comfortably collected by Taylor Pope.
The Boneyard did not find that easy or comfortable at all. Voltron's handler defense at the front was stifling. We saw the matchup of Carnegie against Mullen. Carnegie was doing so well, shutting down every single option. You saw at least 2 or 3 high stall count throws were as a result of Carnegie pivoting around on the force. But Boneyard able to squeeze that one in eventually.
And it winds up in the talismanic hands of Taylor Pope, who is a long-standing Ring of Fire veteran, who's been with Boneyard for 5 years. just knows what he's about. Says sports has always been a place where he has sought positive male-female role models, and his teammate coaches have always felt like family. And it looks like a family affair right now, the way Boneyard understand each other, what they're going for, how they're going to play, as they are 11-7 up. That is a substantial lead to get another big score and break. You just got a brief look there at the audience that is gathered all around the natural amphitheater on the hills, as well as in the stadium. Sunny Sunny Limerick earning its title as that disc is brought down by Knowles. Knowles centers it into the middle of the pitch. O'Brien goes to the big swinging backhand all the way across to Hagan. Hagan has options inside, hits Foster. Foster back across to O'Brien. O'Brien thinks about the deep shot, decides against it, holsters it, instead goes down the line. And there's the shot, it's floating, big bid, but not enough. It's a beautiful shot from Simon to Bayliss.
My goodness, that shot from Adam Simon was a thing of beauty. If you're wanting to learn how to get into a power position and throw forehand flicks, watch that throw back. Adam Simon giving an absolute masterclass. His fans at home, being his parents, wife and children, are actually here in Limerick supporting. Hopefully he's using their energy and their love and support to throw that forehand. That was fantastic. And a good toe-in on the sideline as well.
Under pressure, as almost every pass has been in this game so far. That's Evan Howie putting life and limb on the line for the Boneyard cause. So 11-8, 3 points difference. Between the two teams as they're having a discussion. And we'd like to tell you about friction gloves, the best option for gloves in Ultimate, and the greatest bag, which is eponymous. We will be back after these short messages. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you are enjoying this stream. We are certainly enjoying our time here, as we can see Boneyard going up against Voltron. Voltron currently in a bit of a deficit, but by no means out of this game. We've seen them put together breaks, we've seen them put together runs and fight their way back in to this matchup. They went 2-0 down to start the game off, and they responded by tying it up and even going on and taking a lead, 4-3. So plenty left to play for, but they've got to start digging their heels in now as Gibson gets the disc in the middle of the pitch. There's the clear out on the open side. Instead he goes for the break swing to the opposite sideline, and quick play from Boneyard. It's called downfield.
Something that has been sitting in Voltron's favor and actually been amping up their defense is the quality of their pulls. We've seen at least 5 pulls that have been either in Boneyard's end zone or at least towards the front corner that has put them in such a dangerous position. And it's really difficult to get out of that.
As Helton sends it back to Monaghan. Oh, sorry, that's not Monaghan, that is Casey. He's just borrowing the number 2. So the wind whistling ever so slightly. There's Casey. Sends that one down. Gibson in the middle. Searching for options, but just gonna have a little bit of a discussion with Sefton. These teams know each other so well. Years of experience playing against each other in many different forms.
Your Voltron were the 2019 Masters Championships. They won that final against Boneyard.
So Boneyard hoping to avenge that loss. They get to Smith on this near sideline. He lashes that one. Taken in by Casey. And down the line again. Dieter pops it to Gibson. It floats a little, but not enough as the defensive help arrives, but ever so slightly too late. Huge effort But unfortunately for Voltron, they concede again, 12-8.
A great deal of amping pressure. Voltron were trying to stifle the blow, but not enough for Kurt Gibson in the end zone.
Boneyard really starting to sweep down this pitch with some comfort. I mean, comfort is a generous way to describe it. So difficult to contain these players. The help defense coming from the far sideline in the form of Sam Harkness, almost there in time. And it is a measure of millimeters using the metric system here as we are in Europe. Gibson just climbing up a quick ladder, taking that down. So 12-8. Wind again picking up a bit more, but it is a side wind coming across from the grandstand towards us here.
Yeah, these have probably been the most favorable conditions all week. The sun is out for probably the longest time that it has been out whilst we've been here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships.
And here comes the pull. It's another big arcing one. We're not quite making it to the end zone as Voltron reset and get it back into the middle to Sedner. Sedner looking for options. Thinks about the deep shot, decides against it. Has Garrett on the under. Garrett feeds back to Sedner. There's the deep cut. There's the deep throw. Matsuka's going to have to chase, but in the end, it is the speedy form of Josh Marquette tearing away and picking up the score.
That throw from Céad. Again, we're just seeing this flick in a power position. These players are so experienced, and they have thrown that time and time and time again and bringing it out of their breadbasket every single time. It is beautiful. Céad being, again, an extremely experienced player for this side, having played for both Sockeye and Revolver. When asked what we should be looking out for, he says, inside breaks ya boy. So we should be seeing a lot of inside breaks from Céad, but that one just being a huge floaty flick into the end zone. Really well read by Marquette.
And these players all so prominent in their local community in Seattle. One of the points that Reed Koss made to me previous to the game was that one of the reasons Seattle has been such a powerhouse for so long is all of the high-level players also are coaches. They give back to that community. They help to build it up. Something that Seattle has been doing longer than a lot of areas, but something that the North Carolinians have also copied and look to build their own community. As we mentioned earlier on, they're currently reigning champs in 4 different divisions of disc sports. A testament to their growing strength and the ascendancy of the area. But Voltron are going to hope to shock this crowd, come back into this game. Huge flick inside out, it's arcing. 2 players underneath it. That might be too much for anyone to catch except for Jonathan Helton. That was perfectly positioned and shot from the moon.
The separation that Helton had on that cut. It's unfortunate for Laws, not able to get enough. Was still getting within meters, the absolute pace that Laws moved down the pitch, but Jonathan Helton, also known as Goose affectionately in the Ultimate community, huge amount of separation. He's an athletic player, and this throw as well has to be credited. The inside flick, sits and dives, Helton still going up for it just in case.
Those 2 players will be playing for La Fota at the end of this month in the World Ultimate Club Championship, so any Italian fans probably cheering them on. They like to see that kind of a connection, and they'll hope to see plenty more of it when we go to Ohio. But for now, we're going to go to a quick few messages from our sponsors.
Right now, he's gonna have to bid. Just a football.
Huge layout block, unbelievable stuff on the front corner of the end zone.
Maybe just that boost of energy they needed. Huge swing pass and a great grab there from Spear.
And we are back. The score 13-9. The game still very much alive. Hope springs eternal, and Voltron will be looking to make Joy do the same thing as they aim to fight their way back into it with positive energy, lifted chins, and some precise throwing. Let's see how they get on. Kerlinski goes the around break, taken by Marquette. Marquette waiting. That's bridging on a double team, slightly his own, but getting away with it, it seems. Harkness back across in the very, very open Céad. Céad gets it back to Harkness. Down the line, bobbled and dropped, unfortunately. Maybe rushing that throw ever so slightly as we see Inselman with the disc. Middle of the pitch, and Boneyard are looking to put a seal on this game right now, forcing their way down the pitch. That's Cretella. Cretella tries to center it back into the middle. He finds Inselman. Inselman spreads it around. They're swinging it across without impunity. Berkowitz into the middle and collected by Cretella for the 14-9 lead, and what has to be considered a commanding position by anybody watching.
Voltron having to face up against an aggressive FSU-style zone. So you had the three handler marks trying to stay as match marked towards the handler, or at least the front three as much as possible. You had a mullet in the middle, getting and jinking and jiving in the way. A wing, well, two wings on either side, and then a deep player. And what they're trying to do is generate the turns by forcing more around and over the head shots. And that is exactly what we saw there. Voltron trying to take on quite a brave option where there were Boneyard players in the way, and Boneyard then responding with a clean offense. Not too long of a field. They were sitting at around about their own brick mark. Didn't have too many yards to gain.
And it seems the lightning fast offenses have slowed ever so slightly, perhaps in response to the conditions, perhaps in response to the ever-encroaching defense, as they, while they are familiar with yourself, every game is a new matchup, every game is a new occasion, and this one is unlike all the others that have gone before it for all the similarities that appear between the players. And this seems to be Boneyard locking down on defense. Let's see how Voltron can get a bit of breath back into their lungs, get a bit of life back into their championship aspirations. Sefton with the disc, looking to spread. Instead goes back, taken by Kerlinski. Kerlinski gets that one off. Céad thinks about the deep shot, decides against it. He has a remarkably free Speedle in front of him. Speedle launches that one down. It's Sefton. This is better by Voltron. They're moving it quickly, releasing some pressure, and a nice quick give and go between Sefton and Céad. Now it goes back to Kerlinski. Kerlinski spreads it, decides against it. All the Boneyard defenders are kind of poaching, trying to involve themselves as irritatingly as possible in the Voltron offensive efforts. There's Harkness coming to help out and work with Gerrit. Gerrit, now it's over across with Kerlinski. Kerlinski spreads it out wide, too far, unfortunately. The edge of the disc in the wrong direction, and Marquette watches it just go down out of bounds.
The wrong edge of that disc sitting in the wind. We saw the end zone structure from Voltron. It's, again, I'm saying this again, classic North American style, where you have two handlers at the front and then you have somebody at the front of stack, kind of dishing in and out to try and get the disc moving, gain some momentum for a continuation from the back of stack.
Really great lockdown defense. Voltron recognized the game was on the line. They had to make a big defensive stop, and that's exactly what they did. Shutting off all options to Matsuka, making go for a really difficult leading pass on the flick side. Couldn't quite get there. Now they're starting to pump back into this game with a bit of intensity. Gerrit looking for Céad. Can't find him. Oh, there's a call downfield. There's going to be a pick. So the disc will come back, and the stall count will go down a couple of seconds. Gerrit marked by Hartzog. And Gerrit searching, gets to Céad, and Céad the quick give go, and there's that buzz switch again by Boneyard. Very close to a D, but right now Voltron are holding on, pushing through. Marquette back into the middle. Céad again being left on a bit of an island. They trust those undercuts to get free. Gerrit thinks about the break, decides against it. They are knocking on the door. They are right there looking for the score. There's a scooper of their own. Sefton Céad with the stop. Bobbles, pops. An unfortunate drop, and then Mizuki's wasting no time. He looks to uncork a big, deep shot, but mistimes and mismeasures the cut of Hartzog, and it goes down before him.
The wind picked up the exact moment that Matsuka walked up to the disc, not giving him the extra second to adjust and try and give it a little bit of extra touch on that throw to let it sit for the receiver.
Garrett. As Céad hits him. And that's a nice quick play. Céad is really trying to do everything he can to get life into this Voltron offense. His quick movement has been crucial all game, and it is needed now more than ever. Kalinski to Céad. Kalinski keeps moving, and that one just thrown where only he could reach it. But not a whole lot of downfield movement. They seem to start a set slightly too late. There goes the big shot deep. It's blading into the breadbasket though, and then popped in for the score for Harkness.
That throw from Danny Kalinski was huge. Made a great deal of separation, seeing two receivers in the end zone, but just not quite enough, but does eventually get it in for the Voltron score. Karlinski, again, I'm going to say this multiple times, another very well-seasoned player. We just get another shot at that blady flick. Perfectly read. Karlinski playing for Revolver, Condors, Sockeye, also having played in WCC both in 2010 and 2014 and on the WGC Team USA squad from 2016.
And then Garrett gets the assist, and much like everybody else, another player with oodles of experience, 25 years playing, and he's only 39. So it shows you just how deep Ultimate runs in his history. He has previous club experience with Seattle Sockeye, which makes sense, as well as Austin WI and Florida Vicious Cycle, and also representing USA. Won 2 club titles, and also says winning college nationals with his last year eligible is one of his career highlights. And we want to give a lovely shout out to Lisa, his partner, Juniper, and Taylor, his 2 daughters at home. As Boneyard bring out the O-line, and they're going to try and bring out the celebration for everyone in North Carolina by finishing this game off here. It remains to be seen. We know for a fact that Voltron can get breaks, but can they get them when they count? That's a big shot. It's really well weighted, and waiting for it was Inselman. He puts it, leads it, scores it to Helton. Goose gets the win for Boneyard, and they take the Masters Championship here in Limerick.
That was so clean and clinical. Boneyard have been showing exactly how to do it in these conditions against Voltron. They've had a dominant tournament all week. They are 10-0 now with that final win. No teams scoring really anything more than 8 points against them outside of their semi-final against Johnny Encore. Multiple breaks throughout this game. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can count on our stat sheet.
And success runs through communities as we get another look at that shot to Goose for the win. And a big shout out to Tristan Green, who runs Triangle Ultimate. It's a big part, great organizer, big part of the youth program that's rising up in North Carolina. Seattle have set the tone for people all over the world. Here's how you build consistent, brilliant offense. One of the real powerhouses, certainly when I was coming up in the sport. Such legends throughout their team, throughout their community. A huge, huge congratulations to them for their silver medal. An amazing, amazing area of the world, and something that has really been taken and spread out to so many other places. This focus through the youth, build it up, and it will carry all the way through to Masters, Grandmasters, and Great Grandmasters success. You can see how much they competed across the divisions. In the end, this one is going to go back to North Carolina with Boneyard. So thank you very much for joining us here for the Masters men's final. Gigi, so it's over now?
No, we've got another final coming up for you.
Oh my goodness, it's not over? Well,
No.
Isn't that wonderful?
We do have the Masters women's final coming up in a little bit. That will be at 3 p.m. That will be Reboot Squad which is another iteration of Brute Squad from the USA versus Stello from Canada. So again, a North American showing, but USA versus Canada. Tune in again at 3 p.m. Remember that this broadcast is copyright World Flying Disc Federation 2022.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you at 3 o'clock for the women's final.
fáilte.tv